Imagine being forced to stay in a hospital bed for 11 nights against your will without any of your family and then being 5 hours away. You have a loss of all freedom and control. You have to be bedridden, you have to be monitored while in the bathroom, you have to have a nurse in your room every night, and you can't even stand up or walk without being in a wheelchair. Unfortunately, that was a sad reality of my twin sister Ella, and this past year, my family and I have been trying to recover and help her recover from this detrimental eating disorder. Hi, I'm Ainsley Bain, and today I wanted to raise awareness about eating disorders. Over 30 million Americans will struggle with this disorder in their lifetime, so I hope whether you know someone struggling, you yourself are struggling, or just certain information to have in the back of your mind if you ever run into someone struggling. My purpose throughout this speech is to learn more about these types of disorders, learn about different symptoms and different myths correlated with this disorder to hopefully help you learn more about this disease. Now, let's begin. Different types of eating disorders can come in various different forms and look different for anybody. There's 4 main types of eating disorders, however. The first one I'll begin with is anorexia. This one looks like restriction. You are having a low caloric intake and you end up losing body weight, you end up losing your hair, have a lower heart rate, and different health issues like that. Johns Hopkins actually stresses that this is the highest mortality rate out of any of the other eating disorders, with around 10,200 deaths annually. That is, however, just a guess because every year looks a little different. Now, moving on to the second eating disorder I will cover today is bulimia. This one looks a little different, but is along kind of the similar lines. This is where you binge. You eat a lot of food, but then you purge by either taking laxatives or throwing up to rid yourself of the caloric intake. This one is one of the hardest eating disorders to diagnose because you're not always losing that weight and it's not always as obvious because sometimes people purge in silence. The National Institute of Mental Health actually stresses that bulimia specifically is 5 times more prevalent in women than it is in men. Moving on, binge eating disorder is the most common eating disorder in America. This is where you end up binging food, you consume a lot of calories, and many times will have an increased weight. But that's not always the case, making it also harder to detect as well. The last one I will mention is one that we've had first-hand experience with my twin sister having this one. This is called ARFID. It's an acronym that stands for Avoidant/Restrictive Food Intake Disorder, and this is where you have a pickiness or a problem with texture, making it hard to consume the food and end up either losing weight or just having disorderly eating habits. So next, I want to move on to the different symptoms and impacts that it can cause. Now, they can be both physical and emotional, with different causes being from fatigue or from genetics, trauma, as well as low self-esteem. Physical impacts can be heart problems, like I said earlier, low heart rate. It can also affect your hormones. If women experience this, they end up losing their periods for a long amount of time. You can also struggle with bone weakness as well as infertility problems and end up maybe possibly not being able to have children in the near future. The National Institute of Mental Health also stresses that with different symptoms being fatigue as well as dizziness and, as previously stated, a lower heart rate. Now, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration also stresses certain emotional impacts. This is anxiety, depression, obsession, and isolation, which I experienced to be probably the most prevalent impact is the emotional toll that it takes on a person. Next, I would like to transition into different myths. Eating disorders always has the stigma that ends up delaying help. Many people believe, well, this person does it to themselves, or it only impacts women or teenage girls. Well, the National Institute of Mental Health says that it's not just girls. All genders, race, ages, demographics, they all have had experience dealing with these different disorders. Although it is most prevalent in younger teenage girls, it can happen to anybody, with 30% of these issues happening with men as well. John Hopkins also stresses that you can't always see it. That is the case. Many people believe that you can't see it, or you have to be able to see it, but that's not always the case. Many times people have silent battles that they are going through and end up purging or different things that I said previously. But it's just important to break these myths so you can help raise awareness for other people as well. So overall, I want to stress that there is hope in your healing. My twin sister and I have spent the last year trying to raise awareness about these problems to hopefully help others struggling with similar body issues. Even though they are deadly and they are hidden, there is much education and empathy that can lead to impact. You can eventually be someone's safe space. And I believe that if you be kind, be aware, and be supportive, you can eventually save someone's life. So with my speech today, I hope you gathered a little information about the different types of eating disorders, the different symptoms that are caused, and different myths that are being told. And I hope that you have learned a little something about how you can help others save themselves. Thank you!
Yay!